An article from the Wall Street Journal. Third woman Julie Swetnick makes allegations against Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh. In declaration, woman alleges she was drugged, raped at 1982 party where Kavanaugh was present. By Rebecca Ballhouse and Natalie Andrews. Updated September 26, 2018, 1:58 p.m. Eastern Time. A woman alleged in a sworn declaration Wednesday that she witnessed efforts by Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh and others in the early 1980s to spike drinks and cause girls to become inebriated so they could be assaulted. She also alleged that she was a victim of a gang rape at a party in which Mr. Kavanaugh was present. The new allegations were made public the day before a pivotal hearing on Capitol Hill that could determine whether Judge Kavanaugh has enough votes in the Senate to be confirmed to the High Court. The woman, Julie Swetnick, alleged that in 1981 to 82, she became aware of efforts by Mr. Kavanaugh and a high school friend, Mark Judge, to spike the punch at house parties she attended with drugs and/or grain alcohol and subsequently target women. In a statement released by the White House on Wednesday, Judge Kavanaugh called the allegations ridiculous and from the Twilight Zone. Of Ms. Swetnick, he said, "I don't know who this and this never happened." Mr. Judge's lawyer denied the allegations. A photo from Michael Avenatti's Twitter account shows his client Julie Swetnick, who alleges that in 1982 she was a victim of a gang rape at a party at which Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh and a high school friend Mark Judge were present. Photo by Michael Avenatti. On Wednesday, the Senate Judiciary Committee posted Judge Kavanaugh's prepared testimony for the hearing on Thursday. In the testimony, he said he drank beer with my friends, usually on weekends. Sometimes I had too many. He added, "In retrospect, I said and did things in high school that make me cringe now," but repeated that he never engaged in any sexual assault. Ms. Swetnick said she attended more than 10 house parties in the Washington area between 1981 and 1983 with Judge Kavanaugh and Mr. Judge, where she watched them drink excessively and engage in highly inappropriate conduct, including being overly aggressive with girls and grabbing them without their consent. She said that in 1982 she was drugged and raped by a group of boys and that Judge Kavanaugh and Mr. Judge were present. Ms. Swetnick doesn't allege that Judge Kavanaugh and Mr. Judge engaged in the rape, but said they were present when she was victimized. Ms. Swetnick said she told at least 2 other people about her assault shortly after it occurred. She said she believed she was drugged using Quaaludes or something similar placed in what I was drinking. Maura Kane, who dated Judge Kavanaugh for several months when they were both 17-year-old high school students, said in an interview Wednesday that she didn't know Ms. Swetnick and didn't believe such parties occurred. "The allegations are so outrageous and insane," Ms. Kane said in an interview. "It's absolutely ridiculous and we stand by Brett." Ms. Swetnick's declaration was made public in a tweet by attorney Michael Avenatti, a lawyer who also represents Stephanie Clifford, the former adult film star whom a lawyer for President Trump paid in October 2016 to keep quiet about an alleged affair with Mr. Trump. Hours after Mr. Avenatti tweeted the sworn declaration from Ms. Swetnick, the president attacked him on Twitter. "Avenatti is a third-rate lawyer who is good at making false accusations like he did on me and like he is now doing on Judge Brett Kavanaugh," Mr. Trump tweeted. "He is just looking for attention and doesn't want people to look at his past record and relationships. A total lowlife." President Trump stands firmly behind Judge Kavanaugh, a White House official said, and has no plans to pull his nomination. In an interview late Tuesday, Mr. Avenatti said his client had reached out to him for legal advice and he had vetted her claims. Michael Avenatti's tweet said, "Below is my correspondence to Mr. Davis of moments ago, together with a sworn declaration from my client. We demand an immediate FBI investigation into the allegations. Under no circumstances should Brett Kavanaugh be confirmed absent a full and complete investigation." Ms. Swetnick's allegations throw Judge Kavanaugh's confirmation process into further disarray, coming a day before a landmark Senate hearing that was set to feature Judge Kavanaugh and a woman who has accused him of sexual assault, which he denies. That woman, Christine Blasey Ford, also said Mr. Judge was present for her alleged sexual assault, which she said occurred when she and the nominee were in high school. Ms. Ford alleged that Mr. Kavanaugh pinned her to a bed, groped her, and tried to remove her clothing. The new allegations could also renew pressure on Mr. Judge to testify before the Senate committee. Democrats have previously called for Mr. Judge to testify, but a lawyer for Mr. Judge has said his client has no recollection of the episode Ms. Ford described and didn't want to testify. Deborah Ramirez, a college classmate of Judge Kavanaugh, told The New Yorker in an article published Sunday that Judge Kavanaugh had exposed himself to her at a drunken party when they were at Yale University. Judge Kavanaugh has said the incident didn't happen. The Senate Judiciary Committee said its lawyers were in the process of reviewing Ms. Swetnick's declaration, which it said Mr. Avenatti provided to the committee Wednesday morning. In her declaration, Ms. Swetnick said Judge Kavanaugh's claim made in a Fox interview on Monday that he had a lack of sexual activity during his high school years was absolutely false and a lie. She said she witnessed him consistently engage in inappropriate contact of a sexual nature with women in the 1980s. She said she had a firm recollection that at these house parties, boys lined up outside rooms waiting for their turn with a girl inside the room, and that those boys included Judge Kavanaugh and Mr. Judge. When Miss Swetnick was allegedly raped, she said she was unable to fight off the boys raping me because she had been incapacitated without my consent. She said she was aware of witnesses who could attest to her account. Miss Swetnick said she graduated from Gaithersburg High School in Gaithersburg, Maryland, and that she holds active clearances at the Treasury Department, U.S. Mint, and Internal Revenue Service. She said in her declaration that she would be willing to testify to the information contained there. Mr. Avenatti in recent days has repeatedly called for a Federal Bureau of Investigation probe into the allegations against Judge Kavanaugh. In an interview late Tuesday, he said it was an absolute outrage that the Senate is scheduled to vote on Judge Kavanaugh's nomination on Friday. In an MSNBC interview later Wednesday, Mr. Avenatti said Ms. Swetnick contacted his office in the past month and that he conducted an extensive vetting process of her allegations. He said he planned to share the identity of witnesses who could corroborate Ms. Swetnick's account and that he wished to share that information immediately with the FBI.